let's go ahead and say I'm someone who pays a lot of taxes and I want to reduce that to 0 or less. Let's say that's my whole goal. I'm just throwing this out there now. That is not my particular situation, but let's say that was my situation. We've talked a lot about real estate. And I do want to talk a little bit, one more thing about real estate I do want to talk about is a 1031 exchange, because I want people to understand the power of that. But before we do that, I want to ask this question. And that is, what are some other hacks? And I say could be hacks, could be inside of real estate, could be outside of real estate, that the average person may not know about, that they should be thinking about to reduce their tax burden significantly down less or 0.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many different things. I think I would start with like what type of investment are you mostly interested in, right? Because like we said earlier, we don't make decisions based on taxes alone. We first start out with like, what are the things that you're passionate about? Real estate, obviously, low-hanging fruit, for me at least, is most people who come to us already know they want to do real estate. And so if you're someone who's in the, still working full-time W-2 or plan to do so in the near future, short-term rental, the short-term rental loophole is really like a great starting point, because you could keep your full-time job. Real estate could just be a side hustle. You could potentially use all those losses against your W-2 income without having to change anything. We have more and more clients getting into boutique hotels, becoming, I don't know, they call it hoteliers. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. And so hoteliers. Yeah, that's a very similar loophole where you can be owning a boutique hotel sort of on the side and potentially use it to offset W-2 income. And, those are kind of just the real estate business side of it. If you have a unique expertise, I always encourage my clients, like if you have a unique expertise in something, make that a side job, right? A side business. So if you are a doctor, can you also moonlight, do medical advising on the side, get 1099 income? Because now that we have that type of earned income outside of a W-2 is when you can start to write off expenses against that, right? Or if you're CPA working at a firm, well, maybe can you take on a couple bookkeeping clients on the side? That allows me to then have some expenses against it, reduce my overall taxes. Maybe I can contribute to a retirement account from my side business as well. So there are a lot of different strategies from that perspective. And, a lot of our clients are very charitable minded, or they're very involved in, their church or just different organizations they're passionate about. Charitable planning is a huge one in terms of how do we reduce our taxes through donating, whether it's cash or appreciated assets, where I'm not only donating, but also avoiding taxes on the same token. But also, just being able to give money to the charities rather than to the IRS, right? Yeah,
those are some great things. I think it's so interesting how, and you probably know the tax code better than anybody, right? Or at least, but I know it's there's a lot of rules, a lot of documents.
I'm sure there are people smarter than me in the whole tax code.
But I think what's interesting is how these rules are written to favor. I think a lot of people are like, there's a big movement in the United States right now that's like kind of an anti, if you pay less in taxes, you're not doing your fair share. And then there's a whole argument. Maybe rich people should pay more in taxes. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like, I think what everybody also has to recognize at some level is that these tax codes were written to favor, as you just mentioned, people who have a business. It allows them to write stuff off where you wouldn't normally otherwise be able to do that. People who have real estate. And so I think that's just a really interesting thing to be out there and for people to understand that this is not illegal.
Yeah. And I think it's funny too, because I post a lot of stuff on social media, and sometimes I do get some of those, hate or anti messages. It's like, oh my gosh, you're evil. You're helping people avoid taxes. But you're right. I mean, for us, the key is understanding the tax law on what it is trying to incentivize us to do. And if what the government is incentivizing us to do aligns with what we want to do, then there's no reason why we shouldn't take advantage of the tax law. You can see, like, even we talked about bonus depreciation a bit ago. So bonus depreciation used to be 100% bonus, then it became 80, and now it became 60. And as CPAs working with investors, I can see the significant impact it had on what our clients did. So like back in, 2 years ago, we had clients who were aggressively buying properties. Even though prices were so high, even though the interest rates weren't like super, super low, they were really aggressive on buying properties, providing housing for people, right? With all the refund they got, they didn't go out and buy a diamond ring or, go on a vacation. They're like, okay, I'm going to reinvest all this back into real estate because the benefits, because I want to grow my portfolio, provide more housing. And I think it's actually really beautiful when you see that government incentive being actually used for that specific purpose.